Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. PSR is excited to present to you Last Call, featuring your boy, the Pimp Slap P.O.D., Mike M.
Pimpin' ain't easy, but it's fun like money. Got bookies on the run, now it's time to get money. Not your typical way to ball. It's last call like some convicts waiting on the next draw. You can feel the tension. Did I mention? Fools better pay attention, cause we getting paid like a pension. T's on the ones and twos, we not the ones that lose. Mike Money's killers might even make the even news.
And now, let's get to the picks.
We be pumping!
Buzz Sports Radio. You know we be pumping!
You already know it's Pump Sports Radio. Let's go. It's time for Last Call here. TGIFF. We'll get to that second F in a few minutes here once we get past the 8-minute mark, but excited to close this week out with you guys here. We have had a banger of a week, and we're looking for it to continue tonight. We've got 3 games in the NHL, and it's Friday. That means we bring on our boy here, Ghost. They're going to come in here and put them skates on, get us to the cash in the NHL tonight. 3 games means we dig deeper and we find them winners. So that's going to be a lot of fun to get into. College basketball, it's the NCAAB, and a couple of feature games there as well from some of the C-Sun and other conferences. A-Sun that we don't usually see out there on Friday nights. And, of course, the NBA, the association's heating up. We're heating up in the association. We took a step back to make 2 steps forward here, and that was making sure that we check all the boxes. And we've been kicking ass ever since that. So we're going to keep rolling with that methodology here. Then it's Friday, so you know what that means here. We close the show out with our guy, MMA Jeff, coming and giving us his best 3 looks for the card tomorrow. It's an early card here. It's a 1 p.m. Eastern UFC early card. So you're not going to want to miss those 3 looks that he's got for us to cook them books out there. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. If you're just getting in, you know the deal here. Hit that thumbs up. Help us crack the code. 6 p.m. window is our window. It's our time to shine. We do it better than anybody here, not just because of the panel, but you guys in the chat make this a lot of fun, sharing your angles, looks, and everything else. And it brings me back to the original 3. You guys know the deal. You're just getting out of work. You're just trying to figure out what you're going to have for dinner. You're trying to figure out what cocktail you're going to make here to kick off your weekend. Let's help you figure out what games you're going to bet on tonight to get to the window. And while we're at it here, 3 things we ask you to do for Last Call. Hit that thumbs up button. You want to help us get out there, support the show, support the cause, support the community. We're growing member by member, day by day. Of course, you're going to want to get a pen and paper out there to write down the plays, not just from myself and Gokster and MMA Jeff and any other panelist we have, but the plays from the chat, man. They're so sharp. Every day they get sharper here. Everybody's getting better as we start to look at the books the same way. And it's all about how do we get that cash from the bookies' pockets into our own. And, of course, last but not least, put your place in the chat there. We want to highlight the action you guys have as much as what we're sharing with you guys, because it's so fun here. I love what we're building, this community, this 6 p.m. window. It's so fun to have you guys going back and forth. I'm getting DMs all the time asking about this play, telling me about that play. I love it. It's great. You know, I said this all the time. The more you do this, the more access, the better the access to information is you have. And it's because we're all working together, stepping up, having that confidence and saying, I like this play tonight. Make sure you put a couple of dollars on it. That's how we get paid. That's how we keep growing these bankrolls. And we're going to have another one tonight. No exception here. We're getting into the rhythm here. Feel the rhythm. Feel the vibe, baby. Let's go. It's last call time. It's time to get rolling here. Appreciate all you guys out there. I see K. Reed, the new member. We know he's not a new member, but he's up in the membership. It's going to be a big weekend for Pub Sports Radio. And I know the Montana Chicken Chaser will be out there. Maybe we'll get a little horse read here as well from our guy here. And excited to get a part of that Pub Sports horse stream tomorrow. Brian Watson's in the house there. He says, winners start now and all weekend long. It's going to be a ton of fun. We're going to be rolling the tri-stream on Saturday, the college basketball stream with our boys, of course, Dabby Cab, a.k.a. the Waffles P.O.D., and our guy, Miggity Max, going to be out there hosting that college basketball show. Jimmy the Bag and Cast will be rolling the horse stream. And then, of course, we're going to have that UFC. Again, it's an early UFC stream, so you got to get the work in tonight so that we can go out there and be profitable tomorrow. Let's go after it here. Todd Clinton in the house is rough night in college hoops, looking for a nice rebound. Our guy, Todd Clinton in the house. Winner Circles out there. Twin City Nasty Nate says, acting like those sesh guys now. Hey, we'll get to it. We'll hit the go live button eventually. You know how it works. Nunya's in the house. And there's Manzy Man, says Columbia plus 13. Well, it's good to see Manzi Man in the chat sharing his looks out there. Brian Watson says, anyone on Ohio minus 7.5 Thanks. And Ian Shaver says he sees Nunya. Let's go. Can't wait to get rolling with you guys here. Can't wait to get that cash is what it comes down to here. The community of new knowledge up in there. And our guy T on the ones and twos. He keeps it tight and right. He's telling you, smash that like button for the pimp. Do it for me if you're not going to do it for everybody else there. Nunya says, it's due weekend. Let's go. It's the weekend, boys. My bad. I read that incorrectly. J Stone 9. Great showing by the Dallas Stars. Shout out to all you guys that had the Dallas Stars last night. Subhuman Gaucho says, hey, Bobbers, first day all week I took an L on the pitch. Time to take it back from the books out there. Hell of a week for you, Subhuman Gaucho. We always appreciate you sharing. Follow my guy over there on X. He shares his plays, the Subhuman Gaucho plays of the day on the regular out there. You can get that free afternoon action from our guy, Subhuman Gaucho. Juggler 23 says, my action. He's got college. He's got Marist -1, and he likes the Blazers even. Bulls +5. Let's go for my guy. 29. Dan's in the house. Says, let's get that cream. And there's my guy, Dan Kelly. This show should have 1 million likes. I totally agree, Dan Kelly. Not much you can do besides hit that like button for us and then go out there and place them bets out there. Our guy, Jay Smooth. You got to keep him smooth. He's helping with the smooth balls. POD likes that Fairfield money line out there. Brian Watson's on that Bulls +3.5. And Crystal Craig in the house says, hey, Mike and chat, TGIF. We got Rick J in the house. We got Lucky Power out there. Smash the like peoples, he says. And there's EQ, my guy. EQ says last call. Patrick Burns is on Air Force, Utah State over 138. And Dan Kelly says, Tamani Kamara over 16.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I say that aloud, Dan Kelly. There's no way I said it right, but you don't have to say it right to play it right, my guy. Thanks for sharing that action for us out there. Patrick Burns says Austin Pay over 137.5. And there's Darius Moore. He says, let's go. Pelicans, Pacers, under game for our guy, Darius Moore. Kong's Clips in the house says, cash that Bobby Portis double-double at +390. Man, how about that Steph Curry double-double? Steph Curry double-double was at 15-1 the other night there, and he got it at halftime. I mean, that was a hell of a miss by us. I don't even think I heard anybody say it. So I did hear somebody say, who's going to be the first three-pointer in that Golden State game? And admittedly, I didn't look at it, but I said, how can he not go with Steph Curry? And of course, Steph Curry gets that first three, locked and loaded with them boys in Golden State. Dan Kelly says, how did that NBA Rookie of the Year play work out for you? It's fucking Chet, man. Chet shit the bed. He rolled over on me there. We had our three blocks from Wemby. It was Chet that had one and just couldn't get it done out there. Darius Moore likes that Loyola Chicago money line. There's Jay Peasy in the house. Let's go. Darius Moore's also on Fresno +15. And Kong's Clip says, I'm on a Brooke Lopez +3s tonight at +250. Porzingis 3+3s at +240 for our guy Kong's Clips. We appreciate you sharing. And there's Cameron says, I saw Ron on the corner with a sign. It said, fade Mike at your own risk. You don't want to do that, man. You don't want to be doing that. That's not going to give you a long-term solution in this game. Nobody works harder than myself when it comes to digging in here. Morning, noon, and night. We try to get it right for you guys here on Last Call. And let's go. Nunya says, I'm on App State first half money line to start. A little parlay for our guy Nunya. And Mel's in the house says, Avs just traded Curtis McDermott to free up some cap space. Trade coming soon. Shout out to Mavs, the third leg of our parlay last night. Fernando Mendoza's in the house. Coins in the house out there. Says the madness is here. Love it being March 1st there. We snuck in an extra day of February, and it definitely helped the month of February's numbers overall. But here we are. It's time for March Madness. It starts with conference tournaments here. We still have about a week's worth of action to go. And then we're going to get ripping into the conference tournament before we jump into the NCAA big boy squad out there. 64 ready to roll. It's going to be a ton of fun. Can't wait to get into that there. Fanatical Jim's in the house. Best show in the business, Fanatical Jim. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming in, rocking with us. And Daryl Benton says, Emmanuel quickly over three-pointer spot there. He likes the Zion over blocks. And Dan Kelly says, just parlay Chet and Wemby over 19.5. Easy W. I didn't mean. No, you're good, dude. Look, you're good. It's all good, man. I own it. That was right there for a monster too. I'm 3-1. Then I thought maybe they're going to go to overtime before the San Antonio Spurs just pulled away and got her done. Ian Shaber says likes the Pelicans Pacers over, and there's my guy Wine Time Sports, my brother from another mother out there hanging out on the West Coast trying to get it right for everybody out there. BT says cashed your NHL parlay yesterday. Thanks, pimp. Needed that there. That was a plus 175. Let's get into it, you guys. You know the deal. We'll start with the NHL. We'll move into the college hoops, followed up with the NBA, and lock it down, close her out with the UFC. But first and foremost, we have to recap and keep it transparent. This has been one of them weeks you don't mind recapping out there, albeit, I don't like to sit around talking about the winners, but we have to recognize, hey, we talk about the losers. Let's talk about the winners too here. It was an 8-4 day yesterday, and it was very glorious. I'll tell you what, you win, you want more winners, right? Look, 4-1 in the NHL. Stupid move taking that Sharks under 6.5. I didn't even like it as I put it in the playbook, and then I wanted to cut it, and I was like, what are you going to do? We took that L. But we cashed the Islanders. That was a plus 102 spot that dropped down from plus 115 on us. Seattle Kraken got the job done 2-0. They blanked them and scored early, held on to that lead, scored late, got us to glory. And the LA Kings at plus 128. Look, you might not have liked that Kings play last night. And if that's the case, you're not going to like the play I have tonight because it almost lines up identically for me in that situation. That Sharks and Ducks game, that's a bad call. Bad call. I'll own it. And it was the most juice on the card, too, which is just a son of a bitch. But that's okay. We came back. We rallied. We had that Toronto, Carolina, and Colorado 3-leg parlay at plus 175. That cashed for us. Wish college basketball was a little better. We went 1-2 out there, added that Northridge plus 7.5 spot. They got beat up right from the hop. Washington minus 3.5 did cash for us. And then Washington State down at halftime by 2 points. I thought maybe they would have a shot to pull it up there, but they did not, which is fine. You know what? 1-2, not our best day in college hoops last night. But then we closed it out 3-1 in the NBA. We got that Utah under 225.5. A little sweaty. I think it got to 221 or 222. But a cash. So cash is cash. The Dame spot. How about that Dame Lillard over 4.5 rebounds plus 114? Had it to start the third quarter off there. And, that was just as nice gets with that Dame Lillard rebound spot. I think he ended up with 6 or 7, but he cashed our over 4.5. Golden State minus 3.5 got it done for us as well. And then we talked about that loser, the same game parlay with the rookie of the year battle in blocks over 2.5 on each. Look, Wemby did his part. Chet did not do his part. I think the third block, if I'm not mistaken, was Wemby blocking Chet as well. So, look, all in all, it was a positive day, just a shade under 5 units on an 8-4 card. So, finding some great ROI opportunities out there, keeping the vig low and trying to make sure that we get that cash. So, all in all, we closed February and a real positive, and we continue to move the needle forward with the high water mark for the show. So, big shoes to fill tonight, and it's only right we bring our guy on here, the Friday guru in the NHL, putting the skates on for us out of Belleville, and it's as dirty as I hear. I don't know. I've never been there, but we will bring him in. I'm sure we'll hear the sirens blaring in the background. Narcan's flying around everywhere, but let's bring our guy on here. Mr. Ghoster 99 at X. What up, Goji? How are you, buddy?
Doing good, man. Obviously we got the hate coming from Rochester over here, guys. We play them tonight. I think we're up 49 something on the history. So it should be a good battle tonight. I was gonna try and get to the game, but maybe tomorrow they got a head-to-head home and home. So it's a battle of the Sens versus the Amherst tonight. Good luck.
You're going to have Devin Levi's got to be in there for at least one of those 2 games, I'd imagine. I mean, let's go then.
And I hope it's tomorrow. I've seen him before. He's a good goalie. He's got some weird shit he does. During the intermissions, he'll kind of be just staring into the crowd, or it looked like he was praying once. He was just sitting on his pads, just kind of chilling. It's just all right, this guy's different. You want to talk about different goalies? And Devin Levi checks the box.
Man, he's super young too, so he's got some potential. They just need to. Throwing them wolves to the slaughter. If that Buffalo team was a little bit better offensively and defensively, it'd be a different story. You could let him go out there and kind of get christened into the NHL. But the fact that they're just struggling both offensively and defensively means that you're putting that wolves to the slaughter in that spot out there. So
he's a smaller goalie too. You look at him in the net, live, his shoulders are barely hitting the post. He's only about 5 foot. I want to say on skates 10. maybe 6 foot. I'll give him that. But you're looking at your other guy, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. I've watched him too. He's like 6'4", big Swede. So I think you got a good future goalie there with Luukkonen.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how them boys progress. I said the other day they're 2 years away from being 2 years away. So shout out to our guy, Real Deal Prime. I know he doesn't want to hear that, but I stand behind it. That's the case for most Buffalo teams. I think the Bills are probably at least 2 years away from being 2 years away as well. But let's go to tonight's card, Gokester. We got a 7 p.m. puck drop here. And the NHL Friday night's doing us dirty, but they gave us two kind of key games for 7 o'clock. And then some late night 10 o'clock action to kind of help us get through the hump to a big card on Saturday here. And this card opens up, and we're going to open up with this Coyotes-Senators game here, north of the border. I'm sure not that far from your way here, but the Ottawa Senators will be hosting essentially this lifeless Arizona Coyotes team. And, you go by the numbers here. We've got Vejmelka at 6-15-2. Struggling with a 3.61 goals against average, 89.1% save percentage. And Korpisalo coming back in off of a couple of days of rest, 13-19-3 with a 3.41 goals against average and an 88.7% save percentage. Gokester, I'm going to pass the baton over to you to kick this thing off. But the big question looming here is the franchise worst record of losses is 15 in a row for the Coyotes, and they are sitting at 14 right now. What's going on in this game? Lay it out for us.
Yeah, well, they don't got their captain. We're looking at here, guys. Keller, he's not in. Won't be back, I think, till March 3rd. But I looked at their lineup, Mikey, and it's really, it doesn't seem that bad. If you ask me, let's just go to line combos here. Arizona, it's not too bad. It's just they're getting outshot. That's what I was hearing too. They're getting outshot by their opponent just way too many times in a game, and it's tough to win. I think they've won only 10 times when they've actually outshot a team, but then they lost a whole bunch of times when they're not outshooting teams, and that's just not happening right now, Mikey. And Vejmelka, you listed off those numbers. They got a back-to-back, like you said last night at Toronto, so they're not winning. With that being said, quick special teams this month, 81% penalty kill, 21% power play. That's just telling me 5-on-5 they're not getting it done, right? But looking at what the history between these two teams, guys, 6 of the last 7, first period over 1.5, and full game 5.5 have hit. Arizona, I think both teams are alive here. I can see both of these teams blowing the lead, 2-1, then going 3-2. Goaltending wise, looking at Korpisalo, he's not much better than Vejmelka. But with Ottawa, I can give you guys the report here. Norris and Sanderson, you're missing 2 key players. That's on the defensive end, and a key centerman there, Norris. Both of them are going to be out, along with Hamonic, which is honestly probably a bonus. They are 4-1 this month at home, but it's going to be a different look. With that being said, I still think they're going to be able to score here, guys, both these teams. And that trend I listed there, Mikey, I brought a trend for you there. Over 1.5 and full game 5.5, it's plus 100. I think that's alive. I was going to do both teams to score in the first, but I could see but one of these teams being up 2-0. The first period, both teams to score is alive too, I think, Mikey. Ottawa coming off of they came off that loss, if I'm not wrong. Let me just score
4-1 in Nashville. Yeah, back-to-back road games there.
And that's when they got out. They didn't even have a shot on net. I think everyone knows, if you're a hockey nerd, you'll know that Ottawa didn't get a shot on net in the third period, first time in like their history, or at least 30 years. So they're going to come out guns a-blazing here. But then Arizona, same thing. So I think we'll see a lot of goals here.
Like to break down there. I expected goals as well. I think, we looked at this one. I was looking at these goaltenders. And yeah, Ottawa's been, they're letting up four more goals in their last 7 games. Needless to say, they're 0-7 in that stretch. 6 goals on 36 shots the last time out there for these boys. It's not pretty. The thing is, though, you say what you will about that Toronto game there, and I was big on that Toronto spot. Obviously, they made the parlay for us, one of the legs for Toronto, and in that parlay. And I kind of expected, look, Coyotes are struggling. They're not going to just go in and by osmosis take down this Toronto team that just had their streak broken. Toronto wanted to get back to their winning ways, and they knew they could take advantage of a used bag of pucks like the Arizona Coyotes. But, you look at this thing, and Korpisalo, not his finest performance as of late either. 4 goals on 36 shots. His last game was a 4-1 loss to Nashville. 0-3-1 in his last 4 games, and he's let 3 or more goals in each of those spots as well. So I love the angle you're looking at with the goals, but as I looked at these two goaltenders, I said this on the hop of the show here as we were doing the breakdown from yesterday. When you looked at that Kings game and the lineup that those goaltenders had and the challenge with those offenses, statistically, there was no reason to not take a plus money shot there with those LA Kings. And despite you take out that disgusting losing streak. I mean, I know it's hard to take out. It's 14 games, but you guys have heard me say time and again, anytime you get past 10, it's hard to do something 10 times in a row, let alone now losing 14 times in a row. And, you know, Ottawa's coach got fired, and he didn't get fired because they were killers. He got fired because they sucked. Their team sucked as a whole. They weren't getting it together. The chemistry was bad. However, in this case, between the statistical goaltending breakdowns here, 361, 89.1% save percentage for Melka, 3.45, 88.7 for Korpisalo. Neither one of these guys are standing on their heads. And I think this is the opportunity where if you're gonna wave a plus 165 flag on my face, when this thing could easily come down to goaltenders on either side stepping away and finding a way to plug the gap, then I want that cash. I want that plus money spot in my back pocket here. I mean, look, there's not a lot of trends that are going to show you back in Arizona Coyotes team, other than if you dig deeper and you look at these two goaltenders, you're talking about the goals being scored, and you know, either team can go on a run. Claude Giroux will probably be the death of me when it comes down to betting against him in the NHL. I didn't like him when he was playing in Philadelphia. I was happy to see him go. He got us some great return on investment with Tippett, but you know, now he's up there in Ottawa and he just keeps finding it. He's like on his, if he's a cat, he's on his 8th or 9th life by now, and he just keeps finding a way to score. So hopefully, if he is scoring, it's because they're behind and they're desperate.
He's been
to get
hot.
to that over 5.5. He has been.
He's been playing well. Yeah, the last 10 games this month, he's been one of the hottest players. Drew, Tkachuk, and Pinto. But just one thing, I was talking about Sanderson being out. That would have been huge. He's actually in, Mikey. Yeah, that's huge. He's on the power. First line defense with Zoo, but he's also first line power play, pretty much leading the. He's just key. Like if we had Sanderson out, that would have honestly hurt this over, in my opinion. So having Sanderson in is going to be key, and he is going to be in the lineup. They called up McEwen. He's going to be on the 4th line. They still got 3 lines that are going to go. Ridley Craig, Joseph Kubaliki, like that. Where do they have Pinto? Pinto's centering the first line now with Brady Tkachuk and Tarasenko. So this guy's been on fire too, Pinto, since he's returned. Maybe taking him for a point. But yeah, I like the goals. 66% penalty kill too for the Ottawa Senators this month. That was February. So if we get some power plays, which I think the more you have skating, the more teams are moving, which I think we're going to have that for both these teams. We're not going to see some lackadaisical skating here, like the lazy hockey. It's going to lead to some power plays too. So I think we'll see some goals.
Love it. It looks like the chat's agreeing too. Predominantly here across the board, we see lots of guys like the goals here. Nathan Cerna says also Yotes on a 3-game Canadian tour, 2 straight losses. Yeah, you don't want to lose them all, right? I mean, unless they can't help it, and they might not be able to help it. Daryl Benton says 2nd game of the back-to-back equals tired legs for the Yotes. Tired legs should equal more goals, of course. And Dan says rugby league in Vegas today, boys, out there. Our guy from Australia keeping us, holding us down under there for our guy, Dan. Yeah, Brian Watson says first period over in Ottawa. Anyone like that? Yeah. Gokster likes that, Brian Watson. Let's go.
Tie it in, Brian, with the over 5.5. You can do a same game parlay there, brother. You get it to plus 100. Right? I think it was minus 150. So that's where I'm looking there, is to tie it in with the over 1.5. Because as the game goes on, tired legs too, as everyone's saying in the chat, it's going to lead to more goals. And even maybe an Ottawa team total over here. It could be live. So, goals. If you like goals, this is your game.
Shout out to our guy, North Ender, gifting a Pub Sports Radio membership as well. North Ender, man, we appreciate you here on the regular and OG to the Pub Sports Radio community and helping us grow this thing one member at a time, my guy. We appreciate you. Shout out, salute, and thank you for blessing our action tonight, North Ender. You the man, homie. We appreciate everything you guys do here. And North Ender being here on the regular, showing up, rain or shine. We're going to see North Ender in time. It's all good stuff, man. Jay Peasy's in the house. Says, I hope it equates to first goals in reality, too. Daryl Penton says, facts, Peasy. Make America great again. Says, let's go. Brian Smith says, nice, North. And Bo Jackson in the house. There's our guy, Bo. Uh-oh. Says he likes the Warriors money line and the Devils in regulation. Well, let's segue on over to this next 7 o'clock spot because, we talked about the Sabres, one of my hockey teams, I guess, my B team in the NHL, but let's talk about my A team in the NHL here. And I wish they were playing like an F team right now. It's the Philadelphia Flyers. going on the road here. It's a short little road trip down to Washington, and this line is kind of bouncing here, moving in that Philly direction. We've got a total sitting around 5.5 as well. Coaster, I'll tell you a little side note. Was pretty cool when I lived in Philadelphia. It's an Amtrak train that a lot of times the boys would ride from Philly to Washington instead of taking a bus or instead of chartering flights or anything like that. It was literally like a 45-minute train ride to get down there. And one of my clients had invited me out there. Got to go on the train with the boys pregame, rode on down to Washington. Got down there nice and early because they had to get down there early for their pregame skates and stuff. But one of the coolest experiences, I was literally hanging out in the cars with the boys. Like it was, it was kind of like one of those VIP, season ticket holder kind of deals. So yeah, you had to play it cool. I wasn't like rolling around with my autograph book saying sign this and that, but it was just a cool experience as a young buck to be rolling around the.
What year was that?
Washington. And
who were the star players? Who were the star players too?
Oh, dude, it was back when they had Forsberg on the team. They had just acquired Forsberg for the Flyers out there, and I can't remember. I don't think it was the Ovechkin era. I think it was a little before that, but it was a ton of fun. The Washington Capitals weren't very good, but the Flyers were one of those playoff teams there. They were battling with the Rangers like year in and year out. So it was a lot of fun stuff to have with. It was just a cool experience all around. I'll never forget it, and it was cool because it was like literally like 1 p.m, and I walked into my client's office, and he was like. It's like, hey, what are you doing tonight? And I was, whenever anybody asks me that, like I'm guarded. I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of a busy night. I'm not sure. And so then I followed up and I was like, why? Oh, I got these tickets. You want to go down? And I was like, all right, yeah, I can make. And I went out and I made the big phone call to be like, oh, I got to move some things around. And I blew off the rest of the afternoon and went down to Washington. But anyways, I think they lost that game. So regardless of that, though, we've got Sammy Ersson in goal at 17, 11, and 4 with a 2.55 goals against average. The number one guy, because they don't have a number two guy. And Cal Peterson played so bad, they actually outright dropped his ass. Imagine how bad you have to play to get outright released, even though there's really nobody else out there in depth on the bench. Unbelievable. And then on the other side of things, the Capitals are going to Charlie Lindgren, probably their ace. I don't think Kemper's really got the stuff there, but he's 12, 9, and 5 with a 2.85 goals against average and a 90.8% save percentage. Listen, I like this Flyer spot. The line has moved so much, I couldn't pull the trigger, but I'm intrigued to talk about your play here. So kind of talk to us about your strategy and how you're trying to get paid with this one.
I had some, excuse me, the coffee. I had some guys out here. Wilson, he's actually going to be in 7 hours ago here. We'll play tonight. Same with Milano. He's also good to go coming off illness. Dowd is going to be out. Ferravari is also out. And then Oshie's going to be out. I just think in this game here, you're getting I think defensively, these goalies here, if you look at their numbers last 5, they haven't been the greatest. But overall, if you look at home road, 2.33 for Ersson, 2.51 for Lindgren, that's goals against home road splits. And then 912 save percentage for Ersson, 922 for Lindgren. And just between these two teams, they've been scoring goals and whatnot. Same with their power plays. They have been humming. But one thing, the issue for Philadelphia guys, they lost the number one goal scorer on the road has been Konechny, and it's quite a bit of goals he's got compared to the second place. I think it's 16 he's got, and then 11's the next player. So you're losing a lot of goals there on the road, and this team already doesn't score much on the road. I know their power play has been scoring lately, but I don't expect that to hold up for the most part. 7 of the last 10, too, guys, first period unders have hit for Philadelphia on the road. I think that's how they're going to want to play this game. Yeah, you're going to get some of those players in for Washington, but missing the key guy for Philadelphia and like those key stats, I think for these goalies, I think they're going to have a better game than what their numbers are going to say here. I guess my court case isn't as strong as it could be here, Mikey, but the first period is what I like to. Coming off the big loss, this is another stat I want to bring up. Lindgren, he allowed 8 goals, all right, guys, last game out. He got lit up against Detroit. He's finally having a first home game where he's a much better home goalie, like that 922 save percentage, much better at home, 7 and 4. He's going to have a stronger start here after those 8 goal performance there, Mikey, allowing 8, 742 save percentage against Detroit, who's been just putting the puck in the net left, right, and center. I just expect this to be a lower scoring game, bounce back spot for Lindgren, and then Ersson, he should be fine. I'm not too worried that I don't think Wash is just going to be able to do what they want here. I don't. I think it'll be a tighter game under full game as well, guys. 6 minus 105. I don't see it hitting 7, brother. I really don't. I don't. It's a back-to-back tomorrow too for Philadelphia. Or sorry, your Flyers play Ottawa tomorrow. So the over can be live tomorrow. No, yeah, not today. Under today.
Yeah, so interesting enough, when you sent that across there, I saw it and I added it. It was a late add to my NHL card because we just cashed on that one with Tampa Bay the other day. Kind of the same deal. Like, I know we talked about this with San Jose yesterday and it didn't pan out, but when you don't have anybody in goal, when you've got no depth in your goaltending, you can't just let that guy go out there and get fried off the gate. You have to kind of start out with a defensive control the puck mindset. And that's exactly what they did against Tampa Bay just a couple nights ago. Granted, they were at home, but home or road, it doesn't matter. The situation still became a spot where they controlled the puck. They led that first, they scored right away, and then they just kind of clamped down. They played that old park the bus style of like when you're watching soccer out there and you're trying to get an over, and the team goes up 1-0, and there's like no more goals for the next 85 minutes in the game. Now, this game did have goals, though. It ended up being a 6-2 Flyers win, but the lights also partially went out in the barn, so they still played anyways, and maybe it affected some of the shadows. I don't know what happened in that situation, but well, my point is I like that first period under 1.5. We cashed on it the other day. No reason not to go back to it. Again, it's plus money, and you got a nice little card here that supports an opportunity, and that makes a lot of sense to get it done. Dan Kelly does have a question, though. He's digging deep here. Want to honor and recognize our guys in the green. They ask questions to the panel. We want to make sure we get the opportunity to talk about it. So he says, speaking of trains, here's my question. How many times has Gogi Snap took his drive on 4 at Bay of Quinte golf course onto the railroad tracks? Is there a whole 4? Did I say Bay of Quinte properly? And how many times have you snap hooked it onto them?
I know when you see the tracks there, it's number 2 now. They changed it up again there, Danny. For me, I'm a lefty, so it would be a slice over there, but I'm more of a pull hitter. So not as much. They got the tree there. Usually you can clear that tree, but no, they actually got a course here. Funny enough, Mikey, they're opening up on Sunday. It's a 9-hole course, but they're opening, guys, and it's about Fahrenheit, maybe 20 Fahrenheit right now, maybe, I don't know, 25. So the golf courses are trying to open up, which is quite crazy. But no, it's been a while since I've sliced over there. I'm actually a member at Trillium there, Dan. That's the old track there, Trillium Woods.
Well, we will answer all things sports related, including our erroneous golf shots. So
I'm going to call a little timeout here too. Earl Sports, everyone in the chat's bringing this up. Anton Forsberg's in tonight. Korpisalo's sick. He's got an illness, so he's scratched, and they're going with Korpisalo. So that's a late call. He definitely was not prepared for this. So that's a bad sign for Ottawa backers, to be honest, in my opinion. And then for the AHL wise, they're going to be calling up someone from Belleville, probably Sogard. And then I don't know who's going tonight, but I would be on Rochester tomorrow, especially if Belleville can get this win tonight. They're going to have probably, they got a good third goalie, to be honest, Belleville here in the AHL, or second goalie. But yeah, that's some big news there. And I like Swig's plays there. AHL, I like Cleveland to bounce back. Really hot team in the AHL right now. And then even the Stars, minus 455. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy line for Dallas, but plus 100. I like that. There's actually another team. I'll try and get to it here. There's another AHL team I've had a parlay with, so see if I can bring that up.
Great info out of this chat as well. Daryl Benton says the Flyers team total over is interesting. They've won 3 straight versus the Caps. Earl Sports says plus 330 is Caps or nothing. Flyers shouldn't be a minus 150 road favorite in this game. It's interesting. You know, the tough part about dog hunting in the NHL is the favorites are winning like 70% of the clip, but it's getting a little pricey. I thought about the -1 for the Flyers, but then I kind of thought about it and I thought, well, this kind of does feel like a 1-goal type of profile game. So try to ultimately stay off of that spot there. Daryl Benton says Flyers have scored at least 3 in their last 4 away games. And you mentioned Swig. Shout out Swig with the dono. My guy, we appreciate you coming in here. Love to see the parlay. Love to see an AHL look as well. That's digging deep to get some AHL plays out of there.
And I got one more too for me. I got Cleveland and I got Milwaukee, the Admirals. They're coming off a loss, one of the hottest teams in the AHL. They're playing Rockford too. Not the greatest team. Chicago Blackhawks farm team. So a little AHL parlay didn't have in mind, but probably come to plus money too. Cleveland and Milwaukee for you guys.
There we go. Love to go. Love to see it, you guys. Let's roll on here. We got this game in the books. Let's roll on to this next. I just lost my page here. I just typed in AHL as I'm trying to pull up my website. I'm not going to get into the AHL just yet, but there's still some NHL on deck. But third game of the night. You know, we've got this Devils and Anaheim game, and Originally it was the lean, but I'm gonna pull the trigger on this one. It's not a waffling spot for me. I just needed to see how much more action I was going to get out of the card as I was baking this thing out. But we are starting to see some line movement correlated to this thing as well, and I'm going to go back to it. So we've got this Devils with Nico Daws is likely. We still have the problem with these 10 p.m. games. You don't entirely know what's on deck from a goaltending perspective, but did kind of get the starting role in the morning skate was Nico Daws, 8-8 on the season, 3.21 goals against average, and an 89.7% save percentage. Then we've got Dostal projected on the other side, but unconfirmed. If I'm not mistaken, there was a little injury factor going on with this guy, or illness. There was something that was going on there, but he is unconfirmed at 8-15-1. And if you want to talk about bags of shit, I mean, these are what stats look like when you're a bag of shit. You got a 3.7 goals against average, and you're rocking an 89.7 save percentage out there. I know Anaheim's not the greatest team, but you're not helping anybody out when you're letting in 3.7 goals on an average per game out there. And look, this is a revenge spot for the Devils. Big opportunity. I'm not going to get in there and get jacked up with this price here, but you guys see it on the screen. There's a lot of opportunity for this play in itself at plus 140. Dawes going to get his 9th start in 10 games, but he does have a nice little 2-game winning streak. He just came off of 29 saves on 31 shots. And the opportunity for not that you need to really support it, but if you played the team the previous time out, they had more than 25 minutes in penalties, and you're a big dog, you're 4-23 in those spots. You're losing by 2.25 goals on average in the margin. I thought about the Devils at -1.5. I still like that play. I'm not against it, but it's even money. And even it's now -105s. And you guys know I'd rather take the old bag over the head kick in the nuts than actually lay a -1.5 and a -110 or a -120. So that's not me. That's not how I get down. But if you can catch that nice little even money spot with the, the -1.5, so be it. But I added the over to it. These two teams show the propensity of suspect goaltending at its finest here. And I think this is a spot where we can capitalize here. We've got a nice plus money opportunity between the Devils and the over. If it's that was the same game parlay over on FanDuel. I know DraftKings hasn't baked in there, but the DraftKings number's starting to fall now. It's down to plus 130. So you got to catch it while it's hot. It's still plus 140 over there on FanDuel when I last looked before the show. And I'm going to lock it down. I think this is a great spot, as I mentioned there. The numbers support the rematch spot for the Devils. Then you look back at what's going on with this Ducks team, and it's goals. They scored a shitload of goals last night. They got the back-to-back legs effect going on as well, so that definitely makes them, I think, a little bit more vulnerable. We've got the money line moving in favor of the Devils, and I'm not getting into that thing where I'm going to, again, lay all that juice out there, but I thought this was a nice way to turn it into plus money in a spot where I expect to see a lot of goals. New Jersey's averaging 3.46 goals a game on average. The Ducks are allowing 3.55. Devils could get theirs. They should get to 4, probably 5 goals in this game. It's a question of, can we get to at least 2 from the Anaheim Ducks, Gokster? You think that's got to play?
In this game here, the Ducks here, if they're not going to have Terry, like they don't have Terry, that's going to hurt them here. And coming off that last game, playing the Sharks, that's not much. They beat the Sharks, scored 6 against the Sharks. I just think right now, Mikey, I think the Devils, they had 7 against the Sharks too, but I think they're for the most part a healthy team. Brandon Smith's going to be in. Nico Daws, his numbers have been okay of late, not the greatest, but still he's got a 286 goals against, 907 on the road. That's decent enough. And actually Dostal, I know we don't like Dostal, but he does have a 908 save percentage, but still 3.24 goals against. So that just tells you the defense in front of him is just not good enough, at least for a team like the Devils. They should be able to do what they want here, I think, Mikey, on a back-to-back too. I think the puck line for the Devils is kind of live in this game. They need the wins too. They're 30-29. They got the LA Kings coming up. When do they got the Kings? They got them on Sunday. Nice TNT matchup, 3:30 Eastern. So that'll be a big game here. I don't see them overlooking this either. I really don't. I don't mind. They do have an 87% penalty kill, surprisingly enough. The Ducks do at home. 0% penalty power play. So they actually haven't been scoring. The Devils, surprisingly, they have not been scoring. So just looking at it, my gut feel here is just the Devils are going to win this game. I don't know how much they're going to win or the total, which usually I like. I have a better feel for totals in hockey over my career, I think. I got a better feel here, I think, for the puck line, which I don't usually give out, but I'm not going to add it, but that's where I would be looking here. So I think the Devils are going to kind of carry over that 7-2 win against a team on a back-to-back that, they look good, but it's going to be much tougher against this Devils team, especially offensively.
Yeah, shout out our guy Swigbet says New Jersey needs the points. The depth now, trade deadline is here. New Jersey will show up to win their bum fight. And says, but yeah, got a parlay. And the -1.5 on the road suck. That's kind of what I was thinking. I know it's not the same as baseball where you got to think about the home team versus the road team. Yeah, it's a tricky spot, but I'm going to lock it down. It's going to go official for me. That'll go for the 3-pack in the NHL tonight. 3 games. We went deep. We gave you guys plenty of plus money spots that we're digging into here. And full disclosure, the rest of this card I found to be super tricky, Gokster. So I know you had some thoughts here around college basketball and kind of more some looks than actual plays or officials. But I've got one at 7:00 here. I'm going to go with this. We'll move over. We'll put the high tops on as we get into the college basketball ranks here. 7 p.m. Eastern, we got ourselves a little MAAC battle in Quinnipiac and Iona. Here we go, Iona. This line opened up at 2.5 rather. It's moved to 3.5. 50% of the bets, but 87% of the cash jumped in on this Bobcat side of things at 19-8. Iona on the other side of things here, coming off of 3 straight losses in a row, 2 of them on the road, and yet the cash coming in on Quinnipiac. The money and the line is moving towards Iona. This is just a pretty straight, simple spot for me. I looked at this one, Gokster, not to belabor the point here. Neither team's playing spectacular in form right now. But I looked at it and I thought, I've got this team coming off of 3 losses, 4 in their last 5, 3 of them being on the road. They're coming back home. They got to tighten up for the tournament. And then we've got Quinnipiac has 4 straight losses as well. They haven't covered either. We've got reverse line movement. It's the revenge opportunity for these boys here. I think it checks enough boxes for me that I jumped in on the Iona side of things at -3.5. And, it's -110, so it's starting to juice on up to -112s. It's going to pop off here shortly, so I don't see it taking any change. But what's your thought process when it comes to like these revenge spots here and losing teams? Do you have any kind of way that you like to try to play those one way or the other?
Shout out to our guy director first. For the $5 dono, he's got a question for you there. I'll let you get to that one there, Mikey. Some games, but in this revenge factor, 91-87. That just tells me there's not much defense between both these teams. Even if one of these teams does have a bit of defense, you don't allow 91 and 87 points. That's just awful. So what do we got at the total here? 155. Kind of lean to the over. Just thinking it's going to be a revenge factor though too here. Both teams have been losing a lot. Iona's going to want to keep this low. They've been trending to the under. Iona, where Quinnipiac's been a little more to the over. I do like your Iona bounce back spot here. The number is 3.5. Yeah, I like that here, Mike. I think if the team's got better defense here, it's going to be Iona, and they're going to be at home this time, where it's tougher, I think, for defense to travel in college basketball. So you got, I think, the better defensive team in Iona here, and the revenge factor. I like it.
Director 97, my guy down there in FLA getting it moving for us here. He says, thoughts on these games with Ryder and Niagara and Florida Gulf Coast and Jacksonville. Full disclosure, I've been struggling with Niagara all season long. As well as their record is done, as well as what they've done across the board, I can't seem to get on the right side of them. And for me, I'm okay with that because it's a New York team, and that means college games are tough for me when it comes to New York itself here. I got to go to the locals and the offshore books to play those spots. So this line opened up at 45% of the cash, 71% of the bets on Niagara. You haven't seen any movement or maybe reverse movement now to get it down to 2 for this Ryder side of things. And the total's got all the money coming in, 51% of the bets, but 93% of the cash on the under, and that hasn't moved either. So if you want to get a better handle and you look at the money line, 91% of the bets have come in on the Niagara money line, only 34% of the cash, and it's not moved. It's -130. The Ryder side of things opened up at +108. It has moved to +114. So what that tells me is it's a last basket type of game, which essentially is a coin flip. I would take the points in my back pocket with this Ryder team, although I don't like it. I mean, Niagara, purple Eagles, baby, all about them purple Eagles, but that's a tricky spot, Gokster. Any thoughts from you on that game?
Yeah, they haven't lost back-to-back here, Niagara, so I think I'd lean towards Niagara here winning this game. A lot of unders, too. They've been trending to the under. I would probably go with Ryder has been hot. They beat Quinnipiac, Iona. For those were at home, beat a shitty Manhattan team. on the road, lost to Fairfield on the road, lost to Iona in a high-scoring game. I don't like this one, but I would lean towards just Niagara here, not losing back-to-back all season and being able to come home after a long little road trip. So I would go with Niagara.
It's a tricky game. I don't like it enough to have to get in. I said this before. For me to play it enough that I get satisfied on it, I got to call my local and ask for the exception. And then he's like, "Why do you want to put that much on it?" I just don't want to get into that question. So I skipped that one.
Sorry, go ahead, Mikey. I was just going to say maybe he's trying to hear the breakdown, and then he's going to kind of make his own pick, like a Loshak, right? Like Loshak does the. He'll just kind of.
He's done that before, where he's like, "I'll up your limit, but then I'm going to change the line on you." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm not at the fucking counters in Vegas here trying to negotiate a big bet. Like, will you let me take the limit or not?" So anyhow, 7 o'clock we got Florida Gulf Coast and Jacksonville, and this one's a little more something that I could get behind here. We've got 39% of the bets, but 78% of the cash on Florida Gulf Coast, and the line's moving the opposite direction. Now there's +2s out there for Florida Gulf Coast. The total, 70% of the bets, 71% of the cash on the over. It's moved 2 points to 132.5. So you have correlation between the cash flow and that over in that spot, suggesting a higher scoring game. Jacksonville Dolphins 14-15, Florida Gulf Coast 13-17. This is one of those spots, though. Jacksonville coming off that loss to Stetson. This is their third straight home game. So they beat North Florida. They lost to Stetson in kind of disgusting fashion, 86-73 as a half point dog in that spot. So definitely have not met expectations. And then Florida Gulf Coast on the other side of things, back-to-back wins. They did take down North Florida 79-60, and they beat Queens College 90-81. So in terms of kind of where I'm looking at this thing here, the one kind of mutual opponent they recently have as well is Stetson, 61-60 for Florida Gulf Coast. Stetson did hammer on Jacksonville. I think this is probably a Jacksonville bounce back spot, though, for me. This number, the reverse line movement, would have me leaning towards Jacksonville, Gokster. Any thoughts there?
Really tough game too. Florida Gulf Coast on the road. They lost by 1 against Alabama. What was the other one? They crushed Arkansas. Lost by 8 to a good Eastern Kentucky team. Lost by 1 to Stetson. So twice they've lost by 1. I think it's going to be a tighter game here. The total seems a little low at 131.5. Like last time they played, guys, 150 points. Total was 136.5. They hit 150. Yet they're saying, let's put it at 131. I don't know how that makes any sense. Like I guess it's going to be a bounce back and end of the season here. We've seen a lot of unders, but I would think this number should be like at least 138, 139. No, so. More I'm thinking about, I kind of lean to the over, but just looking at Jacksonville, they don't do a lot of scoring. So if Jacksonville's going to win, it's probably going to go under. It's going to be a no play for me. I got a couple of looks in this extra slate, but it is a tough one.
Well, I looked at 9 o'clock here. I've got this Dayton Loyola game. This is another official play for me. Line opened up at +1.5, still sitting at some +1.5s out there. And that's 69% of the bets, only 51% of the cash on Loyola. What's her name? Sister Mary out there getting it done.
Jean?
Thanks, Sister Jean. Sister somebody. They're going to wheel her old ass in there, though. She'll be courtside, probably eating her popcorn, trying to figure out which one of the teeth are top and which one are the bottom. But that being said here, the number's at 136.5, and it's moved up to 138.5, 47% of the bets and 90% of the cash on the under. And we have that reverse movement, Gokster. Again, I've just full disclosure, lots of points to be laid on some of these games. Other ones were kind of yet to really try to thread the needle. And I'm just looking for the bounce back here. This Loyola team has been firing. They beat George Mason. They beat Rhode Island. That was a road game on Rhode Island that they handled by double digits. They got St. Joe's at home, and they had George Washington as well. So they've been firing, and they ran into the gauntlet there, the old St. Bonaventure Bonnies down there in Olean, New York. Gave enough business on their home court, though, 79-64. Dayton, on the other hand, the Flyers haven't been flying so high. They do have a bunch of wins, but the style that they seem to have been playing is kind of more of that come from behind, not the front runner that I'm accustomed to with these boys. And I looked at this one. I dug deep. Again, I was trying to find some numbers to get involved with here. Came down to the road ranked teams factor. Road ranked teams are 3-34 against the spread, off the spread win, or double-digit spread loss when the total's less than 139 out there. So the margin is what caught my attention, though. It's almost 7.5 points in those spots. So the fact that we've got a situation where it's 1.5, you're giving me these points with the home team, should be a tight game. I expect Loyola to bounce back and battle. And I do think there is a little bit of vulnerability with this Dayton team right now. Just the fatigue of the regular season setting in. They're getting their sights set on the tournament. They're 22-5. They should be, but Loyola Ramblers 20-8, looking for a bounce back on their home court. Sister Jean is going to be out there rocking and rolling with them. I got this plus 1.5. It's minus 115, but that price to me, it makes more sense to take the plus 1.5 than it does to try to get cute. There's a plus 100. There's an even money spot out there. It's 15 cents to get the 1.5 in your pocket. That's where the value is to me, in my opinion. Here, it's basically a push or a wash. I'd rather have the point in my back pocket, knowing I've got that 3-34 trend in my favor. Gokster, what do you think?
Tough game. All these games are a tough game. I think Dayton, man, I think they're live here. Just looking at offensively for Illinois, Chicago, their rank, I think it was 168 on the site I like to look at here for offense. And offensively, they faced a lot tougher teams here than 168. Mason, they faced VCU, St. Joseph's, even Richmond. And the Richmond game was 64-69. That's kind of a similar look to what Illinois, Chicago is going to be. And then even VCU. Now, Illinois, Chicago, I don't think Loyola, Illinois is not nearly as good as a VCU, but that's the style of the game. And that was 49-47. I don't think it's going to be that low. The line was 134.5 too. But I think 130, what is it, 136.5 now? I just think that's too many points and a big game, because say if Dayton loses this one and Chicago wins this one at home, I don't want to say they'll be ranked, but it's just this is big. I think just for this is big for Chicago's chances to get into the bracket and into the March Madness. So I think it's going to be a tight, low-scoring game. That's what both these teams like to play. And Dayton, I know they've been hitting some overs, but this feels like the recipe for an under here, guys.
There we go. Did you have a couple games you wanted to touch on as well? I've got some NBA to get into as well for the card tonight.
Yeah, I'll be really quick here. That was actually one of them, a same game parlay. I'd be looking at like a Dayton guys, like +7, something like that. And then like an under 145, kind of push it up there, get it to like minus 115, little same game parlay. Another little 2-team banger, Southern Alabama, Louisiana Lafayette, along with Northern Alabama, and one of the extra games there. Who are they playing? Northern Alabama. It was, I like them against Central Arkansas. And then Eastern Kentucky and Lipscomb. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but these teams, the number's 161.5. Another little same game parlay here. Drop it down to about 155.5, guys. Take the over. These teams are just you can't set this number high enough. Last time they played, it was 80-72, but offense is going to just be, both these teams are going to at least hit the 80s, so that should get to 160 there. And also Eastern Kentucky, I think they're live here too. Just Lipscomb's been playing some poor teams of late. I think this Eastern Kentucky team's battle tested, so I did a +8.5, and then over 155.5 same game parlay there, Eastern Kentucky and Lipscomb. And I also like the over in Stetson and North Florida. I like the over there.
Couple of thoughts there in the old college basketball ranks. I like that Eastern Kentucky spot. I faded Lipscomb the other day against Bellarmine, and they got me. I learned my lesson on that spot there. But a lot of cash pouring in on Lipscomb. 81% of the bets, 96% of the cash. You only have like a half a point in movement. That should be
that team's pretty weak. Like Bellarmine too. Sorry, Mike, to cut you off there. They're 318. I'm seeing here. And then I go Eastern Kentucky quickly at 187. This is going to be a much tougher team. And they scored 90, still allowed 74 points Lipscomb to a really poor Bellarmine team. And Eastern Kentucky, I think they're coming off a loss. They're coming off a loss on the road to Austin Peay. So I think the over's live. And even if you want to take a money line, guys, on Eastern Kentucky, I wouldn't say no to that.
Well, let's roll on, Gokster. NBA, you're welcome to hang if you got some time. You want to hear some back? You got to get up out.
I'll just chill back, listen to you guys. I don't got much to NBA, but I'll hang out for sure.
Let's roll on then. Let's move on over because we do have 7 o'clock. There's 7:05 start, so we still have a few minutes to roll here. But one of the two games I am taking a smash on here with this opening the card up in the NBA on this Cleveland spot. interesting enough, just as the show popped off, who's out for Cleveland? Donovan Mitchell, Karis LeVert, both are going to be out. Tristan Thompson, of course, is out, and Ty Jerome. Brought this number down even more on me, so I wasn't excited to see. I was already concerned it was getting low, but then I kind of looked at my backstop numbers, and I'll talk about them in a second. It opened up at 9.5. The Pistons fucking 45 minutes ago were +9. I mean, they're down to 6.5 now. 79% of it doesn't even make sense to look at the ticket count because it's these injuries that skewed things here. 79% of the bets and 75% of the money on the Pistons, and yet it's dropped. But we know it's dropped. We can explain the drop because of the players. The other side of things is the total, and again, same situation. It went from 222.5. It was 222 at 5:00 this afternoon. Now we're sitting at 219.5 and as low as 218.5 out there. Here, let me just double check and make sure. Yeah, 219.5. We see Caesars still says 222, but we've learned Caesars is just too damn slow to update their shit. BetMGM does have 219.5. I'm still going to ride with this number here. I know it's getting low, and I believe it's low for a reason. The Cavs are 12-0 to the under when they're coming off a loss where they were more than a 5-point favorite. The average score they're seeing in those games is 100-98, and the average total is the key number for me. The average total is sitting at 217. When you look at these two teams head-to-head, specifically Cleveland and Detroit, their last 10, they're 3-7 to the under. And again, the average total, 216. We're seeing a score of around 109 to 98 again. So 98 seems to be the key number. I'm going to be hard-pressed to see Detroit get to triple digits in this one. But Cleveland should just barely get over that triple-digit spot as well. So, yeah, we've dropped, but I'm rocking with this thing, 219. The Cavs on the road when the line is greater than a 5. So we're still in this threshold for this one to be relevant, is 1-8, our 1-8 to the under, and their average score is 114 to 103. All three of those, despite the fact that we've seen the drop, we can explain the drop. We know why it's dropped. We can check that box, and we see three trends that support this thing still getting below a score of 216. Although the number's tighter now, 219.5 is going to be the first play I have for the NBA, Gokster. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it there. The key guy there being Mitchell. He's out of the lineup, so yeah, even without Mitchell, I think I like that number even more, and it makes sense for it to drop. So, court case, we are in favor of the under.
All right. We'll
Jury
roll
says,
on. We've got name. Did someone say Caesars with bacon swizzlers? That's what I think of when I think of my Caesar, the bloody Caesar. That was a Canadian thing when I remember growing up playing hockey. They used the Clamato instead of tomato. The Clamato
Bloody Mary.
instead of tomato.
Yeah, Bloody Mary. That's what we call them. Yeah, the Mott's Clamato. You put a bunch of shit in there, spices, you name it, and then fucking vodka, sip her down. You're having a good night.
Heavy on the vodka for the morning. You got to get that morning sweat going here.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Let's roll on to this next game. We've got Golden State and Toronto, 7:30 Eastern. Speaking of Gokster's backyard here, the Warriors, rumor has it was a difficult travel spot. They didn't get into Toronto until 5 a.m. because of mechanical issues with the plane. They had to go through customs, and that meant they didn't check into their hotels until 7 a.m. But I'm going to dismiss a little of this customs bullshit because you hear a lot of people talk about it. When you're on a charter plane, it's different. It's entirely different when the baggage is all. It's not like you're fucking rolling across the border with your buddies in a fucking hoopty, right? There might be some things that they're looking for, but it's different than going across there with three dudes that look incredibly suspicious. Everybody's fucking fried out of their minds. It's not like that when you're on a chartered plane. So as bad as it is, you think about it. They landed at 5 a.m. They got to their hotels at 7 a.m. That's just a traditional kind of customs check out there. So that being said, this line moved it from -2s to -3.5s out there in some spots. 73% of the bets, 41% of the cash on the Golden State side of things. The back number, though, has dropped a half a point from 237.5 to 237s. We have 79% of the bets, 62% of the cash on the over. So we have a little reverse line movement. There still are 2.5s out there here for Golden State, BetMGM, and DraftKings. We see some 3s and we see some 3.5. So the numbers are getting a little squirrely, albeit they're still moving in that Golden State direction. Gokster, I know you're kind of on the spot here, but how do you feel about your boys here in Toronto? Are they figuring it out since the trade deadline, or are they just doomed to fail this season?
Oh, from what I see, it took, an hour, 45 minutes. We've got the sirens now. I don't know if you guys can hear them, but going back to the old Toronto game here, they can't play defense, man. They like this team, like you'll think, oh, they got the lead, let's go Raps, and then they got no defense. And against Golden State, Curry coming back, I take the over on points for Curry. Even Draymond Green, like he should hit his rebounds here. Pirtle's pretty soft for a big guy. Even their other big white guy, who is it? Olenek, a Canadian guy. They love their big white centers in Toronto. But Barnes, he's doing it all, man. RJ Barrett, offensively, they're fine. I think the over's the play here. I might even sprinkle on the over full game or even live. Quickly's been shooting threes too. This guy had like 5 threes last game. So maybe a Quickly 3-pointers. I could actually see that because Curry's going to get his. And Quickly's going to say, listen, he was up against Irving last game with Kyrie Irving, and he put up 5 against him. So maybe Quickly, it's going off soon. Oh, no, 7:30. That's good. But I think Quickly maybe over threes could be something to play. Just thinking top of my head.
Yeah, I jumped in on this one. I had to roll with the Steph Currys here. Bottom line, I'm trying to pull it up.
Yeah.
I didn't write it down. I'm trying to pull up the number that I saw. It's Steph Curry on the road that's fucking so ridiculous and remarkable at the same time. He's 19-8. The Golden State Warriors are 19-8 against the spread on the road, which is the best road spread record in the NBA. 5-2 on the road in the second night of a back-to-back. So, contrary to what people see here, the common misconception seems to be that we see no defense in the second half of the back-to-backs, in the second half of those games. I'm going to call bullshit on that. That's just an arbitrary non-data specific eyeball situation because every trend I've read off in the last 2 weeks has been the second leg of a back-to-back, these teams end up going under. So maybe there's some isolated situations where teams got blown out, but nonetheless here, I went to a little parlay, a little combo, a little same game parlay action. And this isn't the boosted number, but DraftKings did have a boost on this, a 50% NBA boost. So you can get this thing all the way up there to around a plus 250 spot. For you talked about Barnes. Scotty Barnes was our under machine when they first made the trades for Anunoby before the deadline. He didn't know what his role was on the team, but he's kind of re-cemented his position now. He's been up and down the court. I saw in the chat there talking about the double-double. I can fully appreciate that. I went to his over 8+ rebounds. Now his number's 8.5. So the book has adjusted that thing. It used to be 7.5s. 6.5s even when we were banging those unders and he was going with 3s and 4s, but they've readjusted this thing all the way up to 8.5. So I teased it essentially back to an 8. I can get the flat start. I can see all that travel shit going into it, but Scotty Barnes has been playing solid minutes, 30 or more minutes in 11 of his last 12 games. He's gotten a double-double in 5 straight games, and it's his rebounds. He's had 9 or more rebounds in 7 of his last 8 games as well. So I put this thing together. I said, forego these points. You could still lay the 2 or the 2.5. I'm not against that, but I put the Golden State money line together with Barnes over 8 rebounds there. 8+ means if he gets 8, we get the push, and that's still alive in this parlay. So plus 165 to sandwich those two together. It's not really correlated either, so we're getting kind of the best of the number out there.
Love it.
Yeah, and I see Michael B says Warriors now minus 2.5. Yeah, I'm not mad at that. I take the 2. Originally, I had the 2.5, and then I kind of saw the squirreliness with the number, and I thought this could very well get down to a 2-point type of game, and now it's in my back pocket. But not mad at taking the shot there with the hook opportunity out there in the 2.5. Then I rolled on down. I'll tell you what, I was a heavy lean to the Mavericks over the Celtics. I just ultimately couldn't pull the trigger. I saw when the Dallas Mavericks are a 5-point or bigger dog with Luka in the lineup, they're 0-10 against the spread. So I kind of thought that 10, you guys, I talked about it in Hockey Gokester. I said, when they get to 10s, I start looking for a reason to go the other way. And, I know he's questionable, so I stayed off it. Shout out to our guy, Nasty Nate. I'm sure he's on this spot of things. And then I looked at that Kings and Timberwolves game, and I wanted to get to that under on that one as well. Ultimately, I couldn't pull the trigger there too. But moving on down the line here at 8 p.m., the Pacers and the Pelicans line open at -4. It's shot up to 5.5s now. 74% of the bets, 92% of the cash on this Pelican side of things. The total open at 237.5. It's up to 239s. 84% of the bets, 70% of the cash. And, it's been something that I've been kind of, first of all, without much regard to anything else, the Pelicans in the first half at home are one of the best NBA cover teams in the NBA. So the fact that they're coming off of that embarrassing loss there to the Pacers, to me said this is a great opportunity to jump in. And I say it's embarrassing because they had everybody questionable on the injury report. And then at the last minute, everybody decided to come in and play. So out they go. Now they're coming back home here in the revenge spot. I think they start strong. I took the Pelicans in the first half -2.5, Dokester.
Yeah, I like that. Pelicans, I don't have a lot on this one here, so I'm just looking at the same game parlay for the Toronto game. They're trying to put something together. But yeah, this Indiana team can't play any defense. Don't think Siakam's happy from what I'm hearing. So, yeah, I would be looking at New Orleans here. Yeah, bounce back for New Orleans, I believe.
Moving on down the line, you guys, this next one's going to be kind of short and sweet and to the point. We'll get this thing rolling, guys. If you're just getting in here, smash that thumbs up for us here. You guys got hit the replay, catch the plays that we kind of broke down for you guys across the sports spectrum tonight. Plenty of action despite a smaller card. And we've got two more in the NBA before we bring on our guy in the UFC MMA, Jeff here. The Bucks and the Bulls. This one opened at 4. 64% of the bets, 52% of the cash on the Milwaukee Bucks at 10 p.m. Eastern. And yet we have no movement in the line. The numbers dropped a point from 223s to 222s with 82% of the bets and 85% of the cash. I'm going back to it. I'm going back to the well here. I'm going Dame time, baby. Over 4.5 rebounds. We cashed it last night at +114. They dropped it today to +110. I got it. You know, you want to get cute with it. I love it. I see Ron Crawford says Bucks -3.5 is the spreadsheet play of the day. I love it. I love everything about it. But I just want to get in and out of this one. And when I say in and out, I'm not talking about the first quarter. I'm talking about this guy has been nothing but productive and profitable across the board when it comes down to it. You know, you look at his numbers, 5 rebounds there to get this thing. He's got 5 or more rebounds in 5 straight games. So he's been covering this number like crazy since the All-Star break. And when you look at the other side of things with the Bulls, they're allowing the opposing team to rebound 51.3 times a game. So we just need 10% of those rebounds to go to my guy, Dame. We cashed on it last night. We're running back to it tonight. I gave you guys all the numbers and all the reason behind it last night. You look at this thing and then you see what's going on with Milwaukee. Brook Lopez in the center position spends a ton of time out there at the perimeter. So in terms of the way these numbers are matched, it's Brook Lopez number that's sitting at 4.5. It's the same number as Dame. It's a very strange configuration for rebounding, and it just shows you they do lean on Dame to be the guy to go out there, throw those elbows up, and grab those second chance opportunities. So I'm running back to it tonight. I think the fact that I'm not sure, I haven't seen the update on Alex Caruso or not. I saw he was questionable, but if he doesn't play, I like it even more. And the fact that we cashed on it last night, we're going back to the well. We've done this time and again. We did it with Scotty Barnes and his unders. We're going to do it again with Dame and his overs. It's Dame time tonight. Dame time. We're going to go over 4.5, baby.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, Antetokounmpo game time. He's probably going to be going. But, yeah, good point with Lopez. He loves shooting those threes as a big man. So, a guy like Damian Lillard, who's a dog, getting those rebounds, +110. Sign me up.
Rock and roll. And then the last game on the card, it is the late night special for the NBA. I am pissed I didn't go live, give you guys the official play with that spot last night in the Wizards. But here we go with the second game of the back-to-back against the Clip Show here. This line opened at 12.5. It's now 16.5 out there. 66% of the bets and 93% of the cash say there's no way the Clippers don't cover this -16.5 here. And look, this is just too many points. At the end of the day, you can break this thing down any way you want. I got it. It's the second leg of the back-to-back. The Clippers fell apart there. They fell flat against that Lakers team there, 116-112. And they're really kind of hanging within this number across the board. They played at Memphis. They won 101-95. They did handle OKC. They only won that game. I say only. They won it by 22 points as a 1.5-point dog. But OKC wasn't quite right in that spot. That was a low number that said suspect. The Clippers did beat Golden State on the road 130-125 as well. But they're allowing teams to hang around in this number, and that's dangerous here. We've got teams off a home loss when their previous margin in the third quarter, the first 3 quarters, is less than 10 points. So when you got tight games going on there, now they're a home favorite against a bad team. They're 2-14. That tells me the gas came out of the tires in that last game. They let the air out that last game, as we saw. They got outscored in the fourth quarter, specifically by LeBron James. Now you fast forward to this game, and you got a bad team coming into town. It's a low motivation spot here. It's 2-14 against the spread, not covering by a margin of 3.25 points. The average score we're seeing is 106-98, well within the 16.5 number. And I'm going to jump in on it. I think this is a great spot to take advantage of the sluggish team. Definitely capable of getting it done, but at the end of the day, do they really care about going out there and bludgeoning this Wizards team, who's been pretty successful in flipping it around here? They're about to go on the road as well. So this is their last home game before they play Minnesota and then Milwaukee. I think this is a catch and napping spot here where they're expecting the sluggish Washington Wizards. And here we go at 16.5 points. Just too many points out there, Gokster.
Too many points. I'm agreeing. I think that's about too many points there. It's funny you say about, and up here we say about. It's just funny hearing, just up here in Canada. But yeah, I do agree. That's too many points. But yeah, these hockey games have started and 1 minute into the Ottawa game, and still 0-0. 5 shots on net for Belleville, 1 for Rochester. So boys are coming out hot. Levi's in net too, by the way.
Nice. There we go. Tonight's not. You wanted him tomorrow. I'll take him tonight. We want to build some momentum on that road trip here. Coach, we appreciate you coming in and rocking, my guy. Tell them what you got going on. I know it's a big weekend coming up. We appreciate you coming by, rolling up on Last Call, and dropping some looks for us here. What's going on in the world of Gokster 99 at X, my guy?
Well, guys, at X there, yeah, Gokster 99 for all your sports betting needs. But shout out to Pub Sports and our Pubapalooza. You guys want to come out? We're going golfing there, I think, Saturday sometime. We're going to be sports betting at the Yin Yang March Madness is going to be going on for a good weekend, Friday to Sunday there, 22nd to the 24th. So you guys already got a ticket. I think it's pretty cheap still right now. Come on down to Pub Sports there, San Antonio, Texas, baby, and have a good time there. Mikey, you're going to be there, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Can't wait. Can't wait to meet you, man. I didn't get to meet you when I went down to Rochester. So look forward to meeting everyone else, too, in the chat. If not the first time again. And, yeah, get that cash, guys. We'll see you next time.
Gokster, appreciate you hanging, my guy. Good luck this weekend in the thoroughbreds, but don't be afraid to hit them standard breds as well. Let's transition here, you guys. We're rocking here. Saturday UFC card here. A big event popping along here at UFC Fight Night. The early 1:30 Eastern card at the UFC Apex. We're going to bring in none other than our 2-time winner in the Pub Sports Radio contest. It's MMA Jeff giving us his laydown here tonight. Let's go.
Going on? Thanks for having me.
What's going on? Yeah, we ran. Despite a short card, we ran long. So we appreciate you hanging in there with us here. We're all eager to hear what's going on with this MMA event here this weekend, and hopefully our guy T can drop the contest link out there before we even get kicking. You guys may or may not be in the know, but Pub Sports Radio, giveaway, not just horse races for members, but here's a free contest, member or not. You can go out there, register for the contest for the UFC, make your picks out there before the fight start. They'll track it all fight long, and at the end of the fight, the most points wins. You pick fights based on who's going to win the fight, the method of finish, and the particular round they get it done in. The more you get right, the more points you accumulate. There's the link in the chat, and it's 100% free to enter with a shot to pick up 100 cold hard dollars out there. I know I won it recently, 2 fights back. Jeff's won it several times in the month of December, and been close from there on in. So lots of fun to have this weekend here. It's a 1:30 Eastern card, and none other than our guy here to help us figure out how to navigate this early momentum here. We've got 3 plays for our guy Jeff to get this card rolling here, his 3 favorites. And let's get right into it here. We've got a prelim fight. We've got Oliveira at 19-3, the number 3 Middle East bantamweight going on there against Bernardo Sopai. And this is a short notice fight for our guy Sopai coming into this thing. Jeff, tell us about what's going on in this prelim extravaganza that you've got with Lope Dog and the Lion King.
It's funny you mentioned the short notice fight, because I always pay attention to that. And I was talking to somebody last week, and they were saying it doesn't really make a difference. And I was like, well, what do you mean it doesn't make a difference? They said, well, the guy who's actually been training, Oliveira in this case, he's been training for a different guy, which and I disagreed with that, because Sopa there, he didn't even know he was going to have a fight this week. So how hard and how focused is he? Where at least Oliveira has been the guy who's been training for a fight, he's at least more focused, in my opinion. He knows he's going to be fighting, so he is probably training a little bit harder. This one I actually thought was pretty interesting, just based on the fact that they're both ranked number 3, regionally, not nationally. So it's their, Oliveira is ranked 3, and what's his name there? Sofa there. He's ranked number 3 also in the Nordic area. Sofa's coming. He's 11-2. He's got 7 KO wins and 3 subs. He's on a 3-fight win streak at this point. All the last 3 fights that he has won have been by TKO, which kind of scared me a little bit. But the Oliveira, he's a bit more experienced at 19-3. Overall in his career, they're both making their UFC debuts. Another thing that made me a little nervous about Oliveira is he's coming off a first-round KO knockout in the Dana White Contender Series. I never like taking the guy in the Dana White Contender Series in their first fights. I say it just about every week, but this one's a little different. Both of them, again, being regional, not necessarily nationally ranked. Oliveira has 15 of his 19 fights have been by KO. 7 of those KOs have been in the first round, which I was actually thinking of taking Oliveira by KO at a plus 165, but didn't necessarily, Sofa's never been knocked out, so that scared me off the KO play. So I got Oliveira at minus 125. The last look I had at it before the show was he was up to or down to minus 140. So I think Oliveira is going to take this one. Again, I do like it by KO, but I didn't actually get to that. So Oliveira, minus 125. I got him yesterday. Now he's minus 140.
Yeah, I still see this number is good on FanDuel. So if you want to get out there, you can jump in on FanDuel and grab him at minus 124. Short notice contender out there, both battling for the UFC. Let's roll on to fight number 2 here. We've got another interesting spot where we do have now not regional guys, but we do have some kind of middle entries, if you will, with the middleweight. And Eric Anders at 15-8, fighting out there against Jamie Pickett. Big opportunity for the Night Wolf coming in off of 4 straight losses. And then your boy, Eric Anders, trying to rebound from his last decision there. He lost by decision to Marc-Andre Barriel. Jeff, tell us about this fight as well. Anders' decision is what you've got on the card. Lay it out for us.
Jamie Pickett is he's 13-10 as a pro. He's lost his last 4 here in the UFC, which puts him at 2-6 for his UFC record. I would imagine he's probably going to be out at some point here if he doesn't start winning soon. He's got 8 KOs, which also, those were counting his amateur wins. He's lost 4 times by submission. He's been KO'd twice. Anders is he's 15-8 as since he's come in as a pro. He's got a lackluster UFC record as well at 7-8 in 1 no contest. What stood out to me on this one though is he actually stepped back to Fury Pro and got into a grappling bout and he won that. And I think that might have been an ego booster for him just to get back on the winning side of things. And now he's stepping back into the UFC against Pickett, who again he's no star himself. He's got that KO power, but he's also got a 5-inch reach advantage, which makes me believe that Eric Anders is going to probably try to take this to the mat. And as I just said, he just came off a grappling match win, so he's clearly better. He's good on the ground. I don't know if he's necessarily better than Pickett. I personally think he is, just watching some of the tape back. But Anders is 1-6 in the UFC in his last 7, which again, I couldn't trust him when I was looking at this fight the other day. He was minus 455. He's currently minus 525. Certainly not playing that number. I took him in a couple of different parlays. I do think he's going to get this done, but ultimately from a better return, ROI play. Anders by decision. Like I said, I think he's going to take this one to the ground. I think it's going to be pretty much a wrestling match, and I think he's going to spend a lot of time on the ground. So again, didn't like the minus 455. Certainly not going to take it at minus 525. Anders by decision, plus 110. The odds makers actually had the line over 2.5 at minus 145, which correlates to the over. So Anders by decision.
Combs Clip says it's at plus 140 out there on FanDuel. And Nasty Nate, do us a favor, Nasty Nate. You don't have to say it to play it. Make sure you play it But at the same time, why don't you stick to what you know, my guy? That's the Celtics and your trifectas with the second quarter. We appreciate you, though. Let's go on to this last fight there. We've got Petrino and Pedro, the number 22 light heavyweight in the world. We've got Vitor Petrino coming in there against Tyson Pedro. And interesting little ditty here. We know that all that Petrino's been doing is winning. And this is a big opportunity to rebound off that KO. He knocked him out the last time through. Pedro getting another crack into the UFC as well, Jeff. Lay it down for us. How you getting paid?
Looking at Pedro's record as a pro, he's got 5 KOs and 5 subs, so he's pretty well rounded. He's 6-4 in the UFC. He's got 1 loss by TKO, 2 losses by decision. So it doesn't seem like he actually does enough during the match to impress the judges to get those decision wins. He's had a decent win streak since he's been joining. Since he joined the UFC. He hasn't been able to get things on track, though. It seems like he's win 1, lose 1, win 1, lose 1. I don't know if it's necessarily the tough competition he's fighting, but he's got 5 KOs in round 1, and 5 of his submission wins have been in round 1. So he likes to get it done early. I said Petrino, as you had mentioned, he just wins everything. He's 10-0 as a pro. He's 3-0 in the UFC. 7 of those 10 wins have been by KO, and 4 of those have been in the first round. I think Petrino's a better fighter. Pedro just seems more. I don't want to say he seems like a slower. Like his movements are more labored. Petrino just seems like more of a fluid fighter. I'm on Pedro by KO on this one. As I mentioned, Pedro's had 2 KOs. Or been KO'd twice in his past there. Neither guy wants to get their chin tested early. The over 1.5 was -145. I actually think it's probably going to end in the second or third round, but like I said, I don't think either guy wants to get touched up too early. I think Petrino is going to end up getting it done. So I ended up on Petrino KO +165.
There we go. Petrino by knockout at +165, guys. There it is on the screen and in the chat. Make sure you go in there and register for the contest, Jeff. We appreciate what you got going on. Follow our guy over there on X at JMHockey19. He does a lot of different shows for the UFC and some live streams as well. So anytime you want to hear his breakdowns, go out there and follow our guy. Jeff, tell him what's going on for you this weekend and what you plan on doing.
Just looking forward to these lackluster fights tomorrow. I'm not too excited about the card. There's a couple of them out there that I think are going to be pretty good, but I tell you, rolled on the show that we did Saturday, the live show. I think I've had too much fun, and I cut it. I was tweeting out plays. I think I shut it down at 5-2 was the record. A lot of them were some plus money plays out there. But if you guys want to follow me on X, JMHockey19, I believe we'll be doing a live show again tomorrow. So tune in.
Sounds good. Appreciate everybody rocking with us today. Long show to get this thing rolling here. Short card, full of content. We cover plays today. And of course, we got a big weekend ahead. Pub Sports Radio. Lots of things popping off tomorrow at 1 p.m. The boys, Dabby and C-Mac, will be doing the college hoop show. I believe that starts at 11:45. Then the horses get rolling with Jimmy the Bag and crew. And then the UFC stream should pop off by 1:30. So go out there, follow Pub Sports Radio, subscribe to the channel, and turn your notifications on if you have not done so already. Get out there and become a member as well. We do all kinds of free giveaways, content exclusively for members, horse racing virtually with our guy Jimmy the Bag on Tuesdays and Fridays, and all kinds of fun around the corner. The more it grows, the more we'll get involved with it. Appreciate everybody rocking with us today here. I see Nasty Nate, Subhuman Gaucho, Swing Bets, JP Taylor, Fernando Mendoza, Kong's Clips, and the crew was out today. Kelly V giving you some shout outs. JP Taylor in the house getting it done for us, guys. Good luck with your bets here tonight. Brandon the Great says Jason Tatum, first basket, getting sprinkled at +550. Hope you guys make that cash tonight. Have a lot of fun, and we'll see you guys tomorrow with Pub Sports Radio. Get that cash and stay pubbing, baby.